Hello and welcome to this webinar on navigating the future of mobility with renewable power with Forbes Middle East in partnership with Al-Masood Power. As part of the journey towards achieving national sustainable development goals, the GCC is focusing on innovations to accelerate sustainable mobility solutions with the intent to reduce greenhouse emissions, enhance productivity, and boost energy efficiency. By harnessing intelligent technologies and scientific advancements, organizations are looking for ways to transform the urban mobility ecosystem to enable and encourage safer, healthier, and cleaner modes of transportation. Today, we bring together industry leaders to highlight the progressive steps being taken to establish a framework and develop an integrated, smart, and sustainable transport system. Our panelists will share their insights on how the evolving mobility scenario in the region will not only help achieve sustainable development goals, but also safeguard the environment. I'm joined by Raso Bartenschlager, General Manager at Al-Masood Power, Ahmed Abdo, E-Mobility Division Lead at ABB Middle East and Africa, Virginie Surat, General Manager at Sea Bubbles, Shadi Al Abdallah, Regional Director and Business Development E-Mobility at Regent. Thanks so much for being with us today. Now, Rasoa, I would like to start with you. With the mobility landscape transforming rapidly, what are the key technology-driven disruptive trends that will really impact the future of mobility in the Middle East?
The future of the e-mobility, I believe it's not only Middle East, but Middle East is, let's say, very fast in approaching this. It's obviously the e-vehicle and the alternative powertrains, which are coming more and more place. You have a lot of e-vehicles now coming to the market, as well as there are a lot of applications which are in the shift to electrification. On the other part, you have the connected or autonomous driving. We have seen in the recent days, there are already vehicles on the street in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So that's a more and more a trend which is shifting towards these changes. And the other one is obviously the demand of e-mobility services in general. So it's not like in the past, I need to own a car or I need to own transport. I rent it now, I just connect to an app and I book it and somebody's coming, pick me up. Either it's driving by itself or it's basically driven by me and somebody brings it to me whatsoever. So I think these are the three key changes which are really, pushing the market in the moment to go towards this electrification or e-mobility as such.
And Ahmed, how would you say ABB's latest technologies of EV transforming the mobility sector to enable smarter, reliable, and emission-free mobility?
In ABB, we believe in our role in making this planet a better place to live. We are focusing on reducing the greenhouse emissions, tackling the climate crisis, and this is the biggest challenge we have in this century. We are one of the leaders of the zero emission futures with our smart, reliable, and emission-free solutions for especially the sector of the e-mobility. So we do understand that driving electrical vehicles is saving more than 70% of the gas emissions, all in all. And if you look at the full cycle of driving and production of EVs is sharing more than 50% of the saving of the EVs. So our latest technology in the market focusing on supporting the transformation from the standard mobility and software solutions. This helps to facilitate this transformation by delivering fast chargers, able to charge many cars at the same time, simple technology so anyone can use, so we don't have this barrier of experience that some people don't have currently with charging and using EV chargers. Looking into the future, supporting the governments and private sectors, how to fully use the needs or the market trends where it will appear after having more and more EV cars in the markets. Using these EV cars in the future as a source of energy, like stored battery systems available in the market to reduce the energy generation, or in case of crisis where you can use all these cars as more of a battery storage unit. So we are not looking only to the cars, but we are coming with a lot of advanced solutions to support this conversion in the market.
So many opportunities there. Varshini, how can cutting-edge technologies and scientific innovations play a significant role in enabling environmentally friendly urban water transport?
If we want to tackle the climate change, we have to move towards the sobriety. And we already do have low-impact infrastructures through existing waterways and the sea. However, innovations and cutting-edge innovations are a complement to this and can help us to use better the energy, either through weight management. Lighter you are, less need in energy you need. And if you get on board a higher density of energy, such as hydrogen, which is the second highest density energy after nuclear, then you can do more. You can have more autonomy, a greater range with less energy. So this is how innovation can help to tackle the challenges we have globally.
Both blue and green hydrogen are the future, and we know that several GCC economies are working on creating blue and green hydrogen. Shadi, what are the key disruptive and game-changing components that will play a major role towards developing a safe and sustainable and integrated urban air mobility?
When you talk about urban air mobility, one of the biggest factors is range. Can we make these aircraft fly a certain meaningful range where it's a viable mode of transport to take? And what affects range with aircraft is weight. And what drives a lot of the weight on urban air, on eVTOLs and other aviation craft is the batteries. So I feel like one of the biggest components is battery technology, the type of battery chemistry that's being used. And it all comes down to battery density. And as we get that battery density higher, you're able to carry more energy with the same amount of weight and be able to put more useful weight onto the aircraft, on the payload. So that's one. The second is the autonomy. These aircraft in the future, we're moving towards autonomous flight. And autonomous flight removes the pilot, which is extra weight where you can put a passenger instead of a pilot. So you have autonomy, and the autonomy also helps with flying efficient routes, diverting planes and having them, be able to communicate with each other to make all the flight routes reduce energy. In the end, you want to reduce as much energy as possible to take the most efficient route. So those are kind of the two things: battery technology improvements and also the autonomy of the systems.
I'm not sure how soon people will be willing to swap the pilot for a passenger, but let's see what the future holds. Raso, what sustainable development and green growth initiatives has Al-Masood Power adopted to overcome challenges and to really seize opportunities during this mobility evolution?
Al-Masood here, we are strong belief that the e-mobility is not something that is coming, it is definitely coming. So e-mobility for us created a big opportunity, as we are aware that the government is I would say, behind their targets when it comes to implementation, when it comes to comfortable, let's say, charging of e-vehicles, having a network, having infrastructure for it. This is where we have looked at it, and we found a solution, which is basically a combination of certain components, which is completely green. So it's off-grid, it's green, it's solar-driven, which is also very important here in the region, to charge any kind of mobility application. So it could be a plane, as Shadi just mentioned, it could be a boat, as Virginia has mentioned, or an e-vehicle, just as we have it today on the road.
Solar-driven charging really is the ideal solution. And Ahmed, what roadblocks are really hindering the transition towards smart and clean mobility networks, and how is ABB tackling these challenges to help drive sustainable e-mobility forward?
If you look at the main roadblocks now, is more into the cost of the vehicle itself, still not very much affordable for everyone. So it's still considered as sometimes a second or a third car in home. It is not yet the first car And second part is for our region, usually a car is an asset, although it's not an asset, but we will consider it an asset, which is a lifetime of could be 15 to 20 years. You can see still driving in our roads. So everyone is asking about the resale value. If I invest in this car now, how will I be able to sell it in the future? Will I be able to sell it in a reasonable price? Because this is something play a major role in selecting the brand in our markets. Another point is the technology. People are still asking, is this the latest technology? What will happen in 2 years? Will there be a big shift that I'll be now outdated? Is it like mobile will keep changing every year? Are we matured yet? So all these questions are in the consumer mindset. Beside that, the lack of knowledge that most of the consumers are not yet aware of what different types of car, how to select the right car. And if we look at the range or mileage, if you look at our habits, if you plan to have a trip to visit someone in another city, you never ever think where I'll get extra fuel. Even if you start your trip with the LED is saying that you don't have enough petrol in your car, you are sure that in the range of 5-10 minutes from whatever you are, wherever you are, you will find a petrol station to fuel your car. But in case of EV owner, he have to plan his trip before going anywhere. He have to know where I'll charge my car. He usually call someone, do you have a charger near to you to leave my car to charge until I come back. In our markets, we see many people are traveling from city to city on weekends. They are living in a city, working in another city. So our driving habits and mileage you are consuming is very high. And one other point is the charging infrastructure. Where I'll charge my car. We know in majority of our markets, 70 to 80% of the consumers doesn't have a private parking, doesn't have a dedicated parking. Every day is parking in a different location. So even if I have my car and my charger, where I will put my charger? I'm not parking in the same area every day. So all these challenges, we as EV charger suppliers, we understand the pain there. And we are trying to work with the OEMs and with the location or the CBOs to provide the best solution to solve all these issues. From providing a different charging solutions as per location, could be your office, mall, restaurant, or highways, could be by offering a delivery chargers, could be by offering a software where you can easily monitor and decide where I'll charge my car, reserve my car. So this is how we are working with the infrastructure, with the utilities, with the government to, as much as we can, reduce this anxiety for the range. Also, OEMs are pushing more and more to keep these cars at a lower cost and give more confidence to the customer that yes, you have to convert. And the last point is the government role, which have to push more policies to make sure that this transition is smooth and people have to feel that there is a benefit of transformation. There should be a saving on taxation or customs, parking, a reduced tariff for charging, and so on.
So government incentives and more opportunities to charge your vehicle while driving. And then also interesting that affordability and resale value are still a main concern throughout generations. Virginie, in this revolutionary age of mobility, how is Sea Bubbles helping to drive green mobility forward, powered by renewable energy resources?
As Ahmed was saying, this is a question of an ecosystem we are able as industrials to build to make this shift happen. Sea Bubble is a zero noise, zero wave, zero emission flying boat. And this is a very eye-catching usage of a passenger boat that is powered by hydrogen or battery. So usually on mobility, a third of carbon emission are due to mobility. And you can see electric car, you can see electric or hydrogen trucks, but the citizen can really see from the cities. Sea Bubble, when you see a boat flying, it's so unusual. This is so much the future, and this is happening now, that it's inspiring the overall industry. And it's forced us to ask ourselves the right question, and we're working on this with Raso and Al-Masood as well, is with this new mobility, how I will be able to recharge, what will be the new regulations, etc. So through user cases, you can build and switch to an overall zero emission ecosystem.
So recharging, again, it's at the top of concerns throughout the industry. And Shadi, your thoughts on how the aviation industry is leveraging advanced technologies and scientific innovations to move towards net zero emission air travel?
I want to go back to the point of weight, which is the most important when it comes to aircraft, because the current limitation of battery technology, battery density, means you really have to, weight is a big concern. You know, it's going to affect the payload that you carry. So you want to conserve as much non-usable weight as possible to reduce that. So things that are happening is, advanced composites. There's many different advanced composites that are being used on airframes that are reducing the weight of the aircraft. Another thing is additive manufacturing. There's a lot of advancements in additive manufacturing where instead of you're building a part out of 20 different parts and assembling it together, you're actually 3D printing the part from some metallic powders. And what that does is makes the part much simpler and more importantly, much lighter. So if you add that, the more that you can do on components, the greater you reduce the weight of an aircraft. So advanced composites and also additive manufacturing are playing a big role in kind of tackling that challenge of current battery density. Until battery density improves, and it's improving, every year it's improving, but reducing the weight is really important.
It's really key. Okay, Raso, with today's smart and environmentally conscious consumers, how is Al-Masood Power really aiding the transition towards an intelligent, integrated, and sustainable mobility ecosystem across this region?
Just said before that we have a solution basically to help the government or any provider who is supplying fuel, as example today, to bridge distances where they didn't have before because it's a different use of an e-vehicle, as example. Shadi just mentioned range is a problem. Ahmed also said it's a concern of a consumer. So we looked into this basically. Where does this concern come from? The concern comes physically. If I have a car today or any equipment which runs on the battery, how far can I get? And what do I do if I don't get that far, right? And I believe the connectivity is very, very important to give also a confidence back to a customer or to a user today that whatever happens, I'm connected, I can do whatever I want. I know where the next charging station is. I know where to go. I know how long it will take whatsoever. On the other hand, it is also very important to understand that the consumer has to change. So like refilling a fuel today, you go from petrol tank to petrol tank. It's basically you use the full range of the vehicle. E-vehicle or any e-mobility, let's say, application is not used as a typical car today. So you're not filling your battery to the full extent. You basically extend your range. Again, connectivity or applications which help you with this connectivity is very important to just exchange to extend the range. So that means if I go from one place to another, I have in between 5-10 minutes fast charging, which basically extends the range of the vehicle. It doesn't matter it's a van or it's a car or but even a boat. So it's a different, let's say, it's a transition of a consumer change. And I think that's very important, and connectivity here is key. I think there are technological limits, which a battery, as example, is today a limit. But besides the technological part, the social part, and then the economical part has to play hand in hand here. Change of a consumer, obviously technology advances, and then the economy around it is a part which has to go hand in hand.
So consumer mindset has to change. Ahmed, your thoughts on how the new mobility networks will really impact the future of the oil and gas industries in the region?
If we look at oil and gas applications, it's still needed. But if we look at the oil and gas retailers like gas station or fuel station, they do understand their role in the future. Now everyone is shifting from the concept that we are selling oil or selling gas to we are selling energy. Whatever is the energy needed in the future, we are energy retailers. Tomorrow, is it electricity? After tomorrow, it's hydrogen or water. We are there to serve you. So this putting us back to the same question. From the user experience and the challenges we see in the charging infrastructure, that where you will find a location better than the oil retailers to charge your car, where you have enough space, where you have enough power to put a charger, where you have activities around the charger, where you can do shopping, take coffee or something during these 5 or 10 minutes instead of waiting in the middle of the desert beside the charger. You are in a very nice commercial location, which well positions on the highway, have a good entrance, good exit, and a great setup. So the role of oil and gas is an important role which we need, and they understand this very well. And we see majority of the oil suppliers, they are already taking this initiative, started to upgrade their current setup to adopt more and more EV chargers, where we proudly have previously launched our fastest global fast charger, the Terra 360, which can add up about 100 kilometers in few minutes, up to 3 minutes to your car, so you can continue your trip without waiting for a long time in the station. This is mainly a solution for such application where you can charge up to 4 cars with a dynamic load management, no need to wait, with a super high power.
Incredible. And we've seen many oil and gas companies lean towards changing their names to energy rather than oil and gas, Total
Yes.
Energy.
Exactly.
The latest of which. Virginie, how do you think your innovative technological solutions will aid in the transformation of the marine industry and really push energy efficiency while reducing carbonizations, while protecting marine life and natural water heritage?
Mangroves are absorbing 5 times more carbon emission than primary forests. So to have a marine industry respectful of the nature is key. We cannot live without the nature. This is life. So, our innovation, like the foil system under the boats. So it's basically a wings, like a plane under the boat, that is enabling the boat to take off and to fly 60 centimeters above the waters. Through this innovation, not only we are reducing our needs in energy by 35%, but also we are not doing any waves. So we are not breaking the shores and we are not disturbing the marine life, for example. To have a zero emission propulsion system, either on battery or through a hydrogen fuel cell, we are not opposing the technology. It is only depending on the autonomy and usage you need. We are only emitting water. So we are not emitting any kind of emissions. So all these innovation are contributing to have a more respectful usage of the waterways and the sea.
Wonderful innovation. Shadi, could you elaborate on how Regent can enable a holistic transformation to enhance operations while prioritizing sustainability and energy efficiency?
So at Regent, we're developing a 100% electric sea glider. And so what is a sea glider? It is it's a vehicle that floats at the dock like a boat. Once it's away from the dock, it'll rise up onto its foil, will allow you to travel at 40 knots. Once you're outside of the traffic area in the harbor, you can then exit the water and fly, actually, 3 to 5 meters above the water surface. And so what that does, and that concept is called ground effect. And so by flying in ground effect, it allows us to get 20, 25% more efficiency. And that comes back to our original conversation of how you push the range with the existing battery technology that you have. And so just expanding that range allows us to get more out of the current battery technology. So we get the extra range from flying in ground effect, and also not flying at altitude. And we feel like that's going to drive a lot of, especially in the current stages where, range is a big deal in getting the adoption to this new technology. And so give you an example is that these sea gliders, again, 40% of the population of the world lives on the coast. and there's a lot of airports on the coast. So, this craft, and it's a 12-passenger craft that can, with a range of about over 300 kilometers. So imagine, like, let's say Los Angeles Airport, you can have that being as a hub feeder, being able to bring people from the coastline into LAX Airport. And again, and how that can help with the aviation industry is that it can be a hub, a bandwidth alleviator, which means you have a certain number of slots at any airport. And what we can do is then put one of our ports, one of our hubs right at a port right near LAX. And now, instead of using those slots for regional travel, the Sea Glider can take those routes and open up more routes at LAX for other aircraft to take people from that hub to other farther locations. So that's kind of a way where we feel like we can make the aviation industry a little more efficient when it comes to airports.
So many opportunities here, really fascinating. We need to wrap up this webinar on navigating the future of mobility with renewable power. Thank you so much to our panelists for highlighting the steps being taken to establish a framework and develop an integrated, smart, and sustainable transport system. And thank you to our audience for tuning in. Goodbye.